Here we are with the McGrath clan. Let's everybody introduce yourselves first.
Lynn, you're the oldest.
I'm the eldest. My name is Lynn. Lynn the twin.
What's your
and
next?
I'm Jack the twin. I'm actually Captain Jack, but regularly I'm Jack.
Who's older?
I'm Mary McGrath, and this is my twin sister.
I'm 4 minutes younger and 4 inches shorter.
And your name?
My name is Teresa McGrath.
And you're the youngest, Teresa?
I am the baby of fraternal twins, and then Mom was an identical twin. Her twin died at 6 months of whooping cough. And then we had, our aunt had twins. Aunt Jackie had twins, and that was Dennis and Barbara.
Because my mother had 2 sets of twins, we like to say that she invented the rhythm method, a 1 and a 2 and a. So
well, I'll make reference to the 2 older boys.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
One is Hal, our oldest, who's deceased. Yeah, and so I came along, and so it was 3 guys now against anybody else that's there.
Lynn.
So that was Lynn. So that's why Lynn became a tomboy. We got into sports then. And we had a dead-end street, so it really was like having our own park. So we played football out there, we played baseball. Our dad, at that time, he left pretty early because he got sick, but certain times in the early years taught us the sports, and then the 3 boys and I, then, I got Lynn in on it, and Lynn was a terrific athlete. Everything she did,
Excellent
she did well.
athlete. She excelled at.
She's a good swimmer. She was a good runner. She could outrun me. Here would be little toddler Fat Jack trying to catch up to Lynn.
He would hit the baseball or softball, go into the gully or over into the neighbors and break a window, and then he'd say, "Sorry, I got to go in." So usually it was Mary and I, or Mary Lynn and I would have to go and try and find the ball.
What I remember being the first girl to come along with these 3 brawny brothers, teasing me all the time. And I would take it, and I would take it. And then I would suddenly I would have my fill. So I'd wind up my right arm, and whoever the victim was would get slugged in the back so hard.
no, our parents were professional ballroom dancers, so we were always very athletic growing up.
And swimming.
And then
Swimming.
Mom became a teacher, and she was a PE teacher she was also a PE teacher and a health. Yeah, and she became kind of a dean too, as she rose up through the ranks. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But yeah, she was very athletic, but really, it was between Mom and Dad kind of teaching us sports. But really, it was our 3 brothers that taught us
How to
sports
cheat.
the right way, especially football.
And
And then,
How to
as
cheat.
we grew up, as we were in our 20s and 30s, we'd have an annual football game in the street as adults.
Right. Thanksgiving usually.
Yeah, Thanksgiving
Yeah.
or Christmas.
I'll give a specific, where Studio Village is now, where all the condominiums are, that was our Little League. We
Yeah.
had 3 Little Leagues there. And Hal, Jim, and I were all in the same National League as where you lived. And we were all really quite gifted, particularly hitting the ball because we had good hand-eye coordination. So it was the McGrath boys. But my claim to fame was, in my 3rd year, when I was 12 years old, I had the most home runs ever hit, and that lasted about 25 years till some little twerp knocked 26 of them or whatever it was. And the thing that made me special in Studio City was gone. I was another loser again.
Was that in Little League, Jack?
Yeah.
Little League.
Well, some things haven't changed though, right? Like this Husky Mania today, right?
Well, I don't know who these people are. Why are we even doing this?
Let's talk about.
When we were seniors, they had what they called the senior parade, and I believe it was all the senior problems was the name of the class.
Oh.
So we all planned a parade, did a little skit, and worked real hard on it. And there was a teacher there by the name of Mrs. Von Helf.
Oh, yes. The
Hook nose.
psychology teacher.
And she also had a daughter who went to school there named Tina Von Helf. Of course, she was on the student council. You remember her, Robin? She was on the student council. She was a cheerleader, and it just seems that there's a little bit of favoritism involved. So, the day of the parade, they had the judging, and of course, who should win but Mrs. Von Helf's team? Now, I had my best friend in high school, her name was Jo Rothy, and she and I were livid. She was so angry she was crying. She thought, this is fixed. She was just furious. So she and a pal of ours, Jeff Harris, committed a bit of vandalism. We went to Ms. Von Helf's room. We were furious. Nothing major, but we took the stack of seating charts, those blue seating charts that have well, everybody sits, of course. Took them up, tore them to shreds. There were some pom-poms on the wall, which I'm sure belonged to dear daughter Tina. We literally tore them down, shred them, and then the last thing we could think to do that wasn't too bad was we just rearranged all the desks. And we felt so much better afterwards. We were bad. We were really bad, but I just remember Jo. She was so angry. She was just crying. We were so furious, and it just felt so good to get revenge. I mean, whether or not it was fixed, who knows? They probably did have the best parade, but it felt good.
Teresa and I went to school. We graduated in 1987, right?
In high school?
1971.
1887.
And during that time, it was, kind of the height of the hippie era and stuff. And I remember Teresa and I both getting dressed up in princess outfits with the little crinoline kind of
You
thing.
remember
and
those formal things that you gave
Oh,
me
you're
to
talking
us?
about
yeah, the whole dress
okay.
code went out the window while we were in
We
school.
would wear mucklucks going to school. We'd wear the tie-dye, and we had to wear dresses and skirts our first couple years, and then finally they allowed us to wear pants.
You should have seen what
So
they
all
wore.
hell broke loose. We wore our love beads. We had our black
No
lights,
bras,
we had
no underwear.
bra. Let
No
all our
underwear?
hair grow
No
on our
shaving.
legs, under our arms.
Okay,
No deodorant.
We're getting now a little older and we need money. And we had a woman who happened to be our aunt named Catherine, and we called her Kay. And all of us at one time worked at a shop that she had on Ventura Boulevard called the Mexican Flea Market. And she sold all this stuff, she and her husband. In fact, I made these hatch covers with a guy named Vonderkoolen, Fred, and we sold them to her. And actually, we fixed these up in our garage and almost caught the garage on fire because we had to put gasoline on it to take the paint off, put too much gas in it. When I started running again, I just left and said, "Hey, Mary Teresa, something for you to do, put the house out." So we all worked there. You wrote a piece, I remember, about
our rapping fiasco.
These guys were not very good rappers,
Until the last day, we
Rappers
finally
with a
understood.
W.
Lynn was the Dupar's queen, though, because she did everything right. She was a fabulous cashier, and that's how I got my job at Dupar's. But when
As you
I
can see, Lynn's kind of a model.
However, I
She
did
had
get,
the beauty.
excuse me, Mary, I got reported once for picking up a pat of butter with my fingers. I didn't use the tong, and at that time I wore my hair in a flip, and my goodness, somebody reported me for not wearing a hairnet. So I wasn't perfect, Mary.
Okay, well, I'll tell you that there's one job in particular the boys and I, Hal and Jim and Jack had, and it was at the Jack Fox Chevron gas station, which is now where the U.S. Post Office is.
Mom liked that guy.
And we all worked there. We got, all three of us, number of women tried to pick us up right there, and then there was a back area where he put old automobiles, and I got seduced once to go back there. But I said, I can't leave the job. My job's first. Sex is second.
Can we get that in writing?
What's wrong with you?
So anyway, we all worked there at one time, and then the other thing, I think Hal did it too, but at Laurel Canyon and Ventura on the side where now the bank is, where Chase, there was an old bar there, and I used to sell the Herald Examiner in the afternoon. And it was just great because I still remember, and because I knew who he was, that Gene Autry would come by from leaving Republic, driving like this, because he was notorious drunk, but they never arrested him because he was Gene Autry. But you'd run between things and give him the thing, and they'd give you a buck tip. I mean, he made a lot of money. It was a great job. Probably the best job I had, dollar for dollar.
Well, I want to say something about our dear, dear dad, who is, of course, deceased. He was such a jokester. He would lie down on the couch, and he just wanted his eyes rubbed a little bit.
Yes, his
And-
eyelids.
Just his eyelids.
He used to call me Mayra.
Mayra.
And
He
he'd
was a Southern boy.
Oh, no,
yeah,
it's Tisa.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
And he'd sign his
Lion.
letters, Daddy-O.
Yeah,
Oh.
And then he said, "Give me 5." Was that
No,
wasn't
that's 5-minute rub.
Okay, since she brought up Dad, I have to bring up dear Mom. Our mom was one of the most amazing women in the world. To bring up 6 kids virtually by herself, work full-time, work extra jobs, and she did, despite our dysfunction. I thought she did a pretty damn bang-up job.
She didn't give us away. I would have
No.
given us away, but she
Yeah.
did give us away.
And when she got very angry, she'd raise her arms up and go, "I'm on the warpath," and then give us a spanking with the hairbrush.
Right.
No,
and
but we
then,
put books
and
down.
then she would tell us, Lynn, Examine your conscience.
Go in the corner and examine your conscience.
I once threw a rock and it hit Teresa in the head, or it was a baseball bat. I threw a baseball bat through the air and it hit her in the head, and of course, I was
You're gone
in deep
for several
shit.
hours.
Deep shit. My mom sent me upstairs and she said, I want you to go upstairs and examine your conscience. So I went up there and I was looking all over for it. I couldn't find it. Went under the bed. I went in the closet, and I finally said, I'd gladly examine my conscience, but I don't know where it is.
Is that true?
No.
I had a little bit of a problem with language at about the 3rd or 4th grade, and I learned this F word, and I thought it was
Frank?
a verb, a
Frank.
noun, an adjective, a compound sentence. So this teacher wrote a little note home to my mother and said, Jack's going to have to fix up his language and talk like a normal human being. And my mother then took out a big bar of soap. This is what she did. When you had bad language, and she just came at you, and she just grabbed you, and then just, and I wasn't quite strong enough to push her away until I got to be about 12, and then I just, you're not doing that again. Yeah, and she'd go, yeah, watch. She'd do it.
So that actually
But back to
happened.
North Hollywood High, it was a wonderful school.
Oh, yeah.
And the Huskies were a great team.
What do you guys?
I don't
what do
remember
you
much
think
about
the-
that.
What are you anticipating today?
I'm looking forward to seeing. I haven't gone to any of the reunions, so
Right.
I'm really looking forward to seeing people that I haven't seen in, what is it now, 48 years?
All your old
It's
lovers are
gonna
going to be
be-
there, Lynn.
I didn't have lovers then.
One of our closest friends of the famous Armstrong family, R.G. Armstrong, he is a character actor that is still alive. And he was in Raggedy Man among, Dick Tracy, among other things. But
Bonanza.
his family, Robbie and Daryl, Mary and I were very close with them. And Robbie can't make it today, but I haven't seen Daryl probably for about 20 years or so. But she and I
Yeah.
were very close. We used to stalk Joni Mitchell's house, and we were around 16. At least we're told it was her house.
One thing I think is fabulous is that being able to go to this kind of a reunion, not just with my twin brother Jack, but with Mary and Teresa, because
Yeah.
this has never ever happened. These two generations here, not really generations, but I think just the four of us, it's going to be
gonna go
really
clean the dishes?
fabulous.
I think.
And thank goodness Sam, Mary, and Jack have written for The Patch is a great little paper. Love it. It's a nice little community newspaper. I love reading it.